What's up, everybody? Welcome to Unplayable. We're here with the awesome Xander Tabler from Fantasy Flight Games. He is the community engagement specialist, and we're just going to have a conversation about about everything Xander. So, tell us.
What is a community engagement specialist?
That's a great first question.
That's a great question. So, I'm part of the marketing and organized play teams, more on the marketing side of things, but we're all kind of in one big group. And work together closely, but my job is basically to manage all of our efforts to work with the community, content creators, go to events, do different things to make sure people are having fun playing the game and getting it to the table as much as possible, as well as getting feedback from the community that I can then pass on to the appropriate places. As people have questions or things, I'm the one that will be answering them, different things like that. So just basically I am the person that is here to help, people understand the game and get into it.
Sort of like a community liaison almost.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I'm here to be, your link to FFG and your way to get to talk to designers and the art team and all the people that you want to talk to besides myself. And then do the same thing for our people in our team that really want to come out to the community and do things. I help set them up with those opportunities as well.
So how long have you been at Fantasy Flight? And I don't think this role has always existed.
That's what I was going to ask.
100% sure this role has not always existed. So
it is.
What's the story there and your part of that story?
Yeah. So I started just under 2 years ago. I started out as an organized play and marketing coordinator. They were hiring on, getting things ready as we rebuild the team post COVID and things like that, and get ready to start going to events and doing more work and getting ready for this game. I think is part of it when I came on. And then what was it? This last spring, they brought up the idea of doing a position like this, community engagement specialist, somebody to, help, especially with a game the size of Unlimited and the community that'll be around a trading card game is kind of a different ball game than some of the other games we've had. So having somebody that is there for the community and is just a voice for the community in our studio, and then as well as a voice for us to the community, was an important part of it. And so they opened the position up and I was like, yep, sign me up, please. That sounds awesome. Love talking games, love working with people. And that was part of my job, was setting up some of the preview campaigns for previous games like Marvel Champions and Arkham Horror and things. And so it is definitely something that I've taken more under my wing now as I'm in this position. I started in June 1st, I think was my first day. And so, right after the game was announced,
that's awesome.
Hit the ground running.
That's so cool. So you started before this role existed. Were you part of deciding whether or not that role would exist? Whose idea was it to create that role, knowing that Star Wars was going to be a big game to warrant it to exist? Can you just talk maybe a tiny bit more about how that decision was made, I guess, and why it's different than what it used to be the case with Fantasy Flight?
For sure. I would love to say that I had some sort of magical say in this this position becoming a thing. I will say that it was definitely a conversation of what positions do we need to make sure that this game is successful and gets off the ground in the way that we want it to. And one of those things was, hey, we need to make sure we are being transparent, like we've talked about from day one of this game, is and how do you be transparent? Is it just we're going to drop all this information for the year at once and that's the end of it? And we're you have all the information, now make the decision. But that's not a fun way to build community around your game. That is just a way to be transparent. And then those are different things. You want to be open and honest, but in a way that keeps people engaged and wanting to come back and chat and discuss and be a part of this community, rather than just that one day a year when we talk about things. So I think probably that's a big part of it, was we needed somebody to, manage preview seasons and work with content creators, because we wanted the community to be a big part of this and be very active and involved in, which I think we've done a good job of so far, is keeping everyone engaged, doing preview cards, interviews, different things like that. And so I think it was something where they were it makes more sense to have someone who is dedicated to doing this for the community, as well as other things in the role. But that is their focus, is to make sure that we are doing these things correctly, which is maybe something we haven't done as well in the past.
For sure. Do you do this for other games, or are you exclusive to Star Wars Unlimited?
I do it for other games as well. I've been planning them out now since this summer. So I've done a couple different campaigns now for other titles
Sweet.
Of ours. And so, it's super fun. I really enjoy it. And each community is very different. So it's super fun to just chat with everybody and be what do you all want to see? How do you want to do this? And work directly with designers and be you all know the community way better than I could, because I have 6 different communities or whatever to look at and see what they're saying. And it's impossible to keep up with everybody at all times. So it's really fun to like meet with everybody and be like, okay, what for you all, what would be the best? Okay, now from my end, what can I actually do to make sure that those are happening, that it's like feasible, and we do it in the best way possible for us and you all. So it's very fun to work with every community, because I've been chatting with people from all of our different games on like podcasts and things, and it's been super fun to just talk about the games that I played before starting here already. Yeah. And now I'm just going to chat about them awesome. Like as part of my job.
Yeah, that's
exactly.
Great.
So what games do you play? What are some of your favorite games? Do you play a lot of card games, or do you also play board games? Or I see a shelf behind you.
Yeah. I definitely am a big board game player. I would say I'm more of a trading card game player is kind of my lane that I like to stick in. I play any, I've said this in other like panels and things. This is just like, I have played any trading card game in some capacity casually, most of them, but that has come out in the last like 7 years. I pick up every one of them just because it's super fun to like try some company.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I felt like, this would be the place to talk about that, because I know that you all are like dabbling in them as well. So it's, they all offer something so super unique and fun. And so you can always find, even the ones that you don't really understand the IP or don't care as much about one specific part, there's always something interesting to take away from it and makes you a better player overall. So it's like super fun.
Or designer or developer, or every aspect of playing new games. Definitely you learn tons of different stuff to use in different areas for sure. Not just as a player, but.
Oh yeah. Our design team plays a lot of different games. It's fun chatting about all of them when we're in the office and things like that, and getting together for game nights and stuff. It's very interesting to see what people want to play and what card games are big for us at any given moment.
What would you say?
What's the current favorite?
That's not Fantasy Flight Games.
Oh gosh, I don't think there's a current favorite overall right now. Is the bigger issue. I know. We obviously play Star Wars Unlimited like constantly. Because we're in the office playtesting. I think that's what we spend most of our time chatting about, is that. And then it's like, oh, here's an update on another game and what they're doing. Great. All right, back to what we're talking about. And then it always comes back to it. It's like, oh, that's cool. That's really neat. Maybe we could do something similar like that.
What do you guys call it in the office? Do you call it Unlimited? Do you call it Star Wars Unlimited? Like,
oh, we call it Star Wars Unlimited.
When you're casually talking to somebody, do you say the full thing?
Yeah. I think for a little bit it was like the trading card game. That was back like years ago before I had a name. And then now it is Star Wars Unlimited, that it had an official name.
Gotcha.
Nice.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but do you know how that name was arrived at?
I don't. I am sure there's a very good story. When I was here, like from the minute I got here, it was just a little bit before that they came up like the official name. I'll tell you who would know. Obviously, Danny and some of the other designers, but Jim would be probably the best person to chat with about that.
All right, next time we talk to Jim, we'll make sure to ask that question.
Exactly. Sure. Yeah, next time we can get him out here, he'd be perfect.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah, so are you mentioned you play a lot of TCGs. Would you consider yourself more of a constructed player or a limited player? Which one do you like more?
Oh, I have come around on limited after playtesting and like playing more games that have limited formats, and that's how I play. That's how I play some games. Is just people will say, "Hey, we're getting together and we're drafting a booster box. Let's do it." And I've gotten more into it, but I would definitely say I'm more of a constructed player. Nice. In the archetype, I just love building like the weird rogue decks or like anti-meta decks for things. Nice. It's like, I'm going to do this specific thing and hope that you can't keep up with that.
Those are the best kind.
Yeah. And it's like, maybe it's just bad, but it's super fun to put something together and be able to be like proud of it and show yourself in that deck is always a good time.
100%. I was a Mace Windu player back in the Star Wars Destiny days, so I understand. Nice. Mace Windu, K2SO, like the most unplayable characters, but they were awesome.
Yeah, it's all about making the characters that you don't think are good, or trying to express your personality through deck building and what you decide to bring to the table. It says a lot about you.
Yeah. It's super fun to like, be able to like come up with some idea for a deck, and you're like, I did based on even for like Unlimited or for Destiny and things like that. It was just like, this isn't going to work probably, but it's worth a shot. And, it feels fun while I'm playing it. And so that's like half the battle, is like, as long as I'm having a good time while I'm playing it, it's worth
that's
time.
The win right there.
Yeah.
If you can have fun while you're losing a game, that's how you know that it's the right deck for you.
Oh yeah. I lost plenty of games for Destiny, and I've lost plenty for Unlimited playing in the office, where I'm like, oh wow, this is much worse than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, it was a good time. We have fun. But I'm also playing against people that do this way more often than I do.
Who's the person to beat at the office? I think we already know the answer, but maybe we don't. I don't know. It has to be Jeremy, right?
It has to be Jeremy. It is for sure. I have beaten him maybe a handful of times, and I have played him hundreds of times now, I feel like. He's super fun to play with, though, because it's very, like, even when I'm losing, I'm like, oh, I know exactly what I did wrong the entire time playing anything. It's like, I don't know how he does it. It's magical.
Does he just find, like, any weakness in your like, play patterns and just exploits it?
Yeah, it's just like, I can't make a right move for some of these games. I could have done any of those 3 options I had, and I still think I would have ended up in the exact same spot. Yeah, he just has an option for everything. And so, yeah, he is easily, at least for myself, my person to beat. But I love sitting down at the office and playing him, because we'll get down and we'll finish the game, and then it becomes like a conversation for the next hour or so of just like, all right, how do you feel about these things? Like, what do you think about this? And then he just like, he loves chatting about the game, like the things that he loves, obviously, which is this game. And so it's fun to just hear about like what he thinks of the deck that you've built, as well as like his own. And
That's
like,
awesome.
this is where things are. Yeah. And I've learned so much.
How do we get Jeremy to coach us?
We'll start a little coaching session. You can sign up with the whiteboard out at the office. And,
are we gonna have bounties for like at big events that developers go to, like beat Jeremy and win this?
Oh,
that would
be cool.
See, I would love just something like that, where we have some sort of way for the designers to be out there playing. And I know that's something that we've chatted about. Whether there's a prize for it, I have no idea, unfortunately. But having people from our team at events ready to sit down and play is something that we definitely want to do. And like from my side, it's like a huge passion project of mine, is making sure that we have people on site, which we've done for events so far, like Gen Con and Spiel and PAX Flood coming up. Is like we are bringing designers to sit down and play and do the fun thing, which is, now you guys get to like see what the game can really do, like in the hands of the people that have been making it the whole time, which is cool.
That's sweet. Yeah, I'm excited for that.
I know they're all excited to be playing with decks that are not just the demo decks now, because it's like, oh yeah, like there's so much, like we said, the personal expression in deck building, that I know that they are excited to talk about that in the coming months, of like what decks they're really passionate about, and I'm super excited to see people play.
For sure. So you mentioned playing a lot. Of the leaders that we've got out so far, and I think we know the answer to this, which one is your favorite one that you like to play?
Oh, Grand Admiral Thrawn, for sure. A mile away right there. He is far and above my favorite. He's just knowing what, like 50% of what your opponent is going to draw that like between phases, or maybe what they draw during the turn. So, you know, like, hey, it's no longer this surprise for me, is such a fun way to play. It's just like, okay, I can remember these things. And then also paying 1 to exhaust something, and you can build your deck in a certain way, or maybe your opponent does. And I've had great games where I'm playing somebody who's building real big, and I see it at 8 cost on top of their deck, and it's like, oh great, like drop whatever you want, because that thing's not hurting me. And so it's super fun to see stuff like that. And I think it's just like, it makes you want to play better as you're going along, because there's certain decks you obviously can do, like you do the thing and you activate it and it's done. That's the whole ability. But Thrawn makes you think your entire turn about using him and utilize him in the best way possible.
It's very thematic.
Very thematic. And it's definitely that tactician feel to it. And I talk all the time about cunning being my favorite aspect. And it's just like, it all comes together with Thrawn for me.
Nice. That's awesome. What cards do you think that we've seen so far go super well with Thrawn? Like what's the first 3 cards in your Thrawn deck?
Oh, first 3 cards that we revealed too.
Well, what color base do you use for them?
That's another good question.
My hot take on Thrawn builds, for me personally, I go double cunning.
Nice.
Yeah.
So cunning's got to be the first card in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, cunning's absolutely the first card. People, underrate playing double aspect, and so I played that, like we would do like play tests and stuff, and I'd play the double aspect or double cunning Thrawn till my heart's content. It was amazing. I know that people do like vigilance, and I think that is fair. It plays really well. But yeah, cunning is definitely the first one in that deck. Trying to think of who else I would put right in there immediately. I don't think we've seen too many of the ones. Boba Fett unit, always
a classic, nice already.
Yeah, and No Good to Me Dead. I run.
Oh yeah,
also amazing card.
Yeah, he's super good. So it's literally just Thrawn is sitting there going, okay, you can play whatever you want. You just won't have access to them the entire game. But like, keep them on the field. That's not going to do anything to me. It's like, if it's a Sentinel, I might have to do something. But before that point, it's like, all right, well,
nice.
I guess I won't be playing. So it just becomes a race by myself at that point, which is super fun.
That's awesome. So is Thrawn your favorite Star Wars character as well, or?
He's up there. I'm definitely an Obi-Wan Kenobi fan, classic.
Nice.
Who doesn't love Obi-Wan? He's got a lot going on.
Which version of Obi-Wan to you? Who is Obi-Wan Kenobi in your brain? When you hear the name Obi-Wan Kenobi, do you imagine Alec Guinness or
Ewan McGregor?
Ewan McGregor, thank you.
I think Ewan McGregor, episode 3, like specifically that look.
Mm-hmm.
I do love him in Attack of the Clones as well, but episode 3, that look, I'm just like, this is like a Jedi Master on top of his game, doing his thing out there. They're sending him on these big missions to like stop some of the like the biggest bads in the universe, and you're like, oh, he is the guy.
He's the guy, yeah.
Yeah, and so Obi-Wan is definitely up there, and I think, but I do love Obi-Wan in this first set. It feels good that it's like the Alec Guinness version of him,
absolutely,
and so it's very fun to see him enter play as well. So yeah, Obi-Wan across the board is my favorite, but I do love Thrawn.
So hopping away from, I guess, your favorite card, your role is community management, or engagement. And obviously you watch a lot of content revolving around the games that you are going to be engaging with. What is your favorite kind of content revolved around Star Wars Unlimited that you like watching the most?
Oh,
not personality, not channel. Like, what kind of content do you like seeing? Is it like spoiler videos? Is it people just chatting about the game? Do you like watching people play?
Yeah, I enjoy them all. I won't call out any favorites or anything. I'm not gonna.
We won't ask you to do that for sure.
Yeah,
we already know the answer anyway.
But yeah, I would say some of my favorite content that I've seen. I personally, I know that this is not everyone's favorite across the board for other games and things, is like, I love tier list making.
Nice.
Is like a personal favorite of mine.
So fun.
And it's super fun, especially when people do them like this early in the release, like where we have like just over 50% of the cards. It's fun seeing like people's reactions. Okay, this is busted, or this is like A tier. And it's like all of a sudden something else comes out, and that thing that you put down in F is like, oh wow, this combo is perfect. Great. It's A tier now. I love reading or watching any videos that talk about that. It's super fun. But I would say just general discussions I really enjoy, because I think the spoiler videos are great. I think they, especially for like bringing in new players, helping them understand what the cards look like. But as like from my side personally, I've seen all the cards and I've seen like everybody talk about it. So I'm like, yeah, I get it. Yeah. I know what the card can do. So seeing people discuss more deeply, like deck lists they're building, or just like conversations about how the game functions, like theoretically, and the decisions that you make during a game, I think are super fun. So like, especially if you play a game and then you sit down afterwards and you're like, let's talk about it. I think that's really just such good fun to listen to, because you can, especially in this game, like point out immediately, like, this is where it went wrong for me. This is where it could have gone right. Yeah. It's so fun to be able to go back and like discuss those afterwards. So anyone where it's just people chatting, I think is super fun to hear, like how you interact with the game personally is what I enjoy the most.
That's awesome. Have you ever made content for a game? I'm just curious if
I have not. I have not really done any content creation myself, unfortunately. I would love to at some point do stuff like that, and that's why I love coming on and joining people like yourselves. And
so you sort of have just
right now
representing fantasy flight games, I guess. But yeah.
You're a host now. You're literally a host.
Yeah, we should talk about that. That is awesome.
So I would say that is the closest that I've come to content creation.
That's pretty damn close.
It's exactly. It's not me setting up everything, but I know that me and my boss Casey, who's the marketing manager, she and I and Josh before, now that he's no longer host, less him, help set up like the cadence of what our live streams are going to be and things like that. There's a lot of fun things that we can do with that, where some of it's like, oh, we obviously have to do this because this game's coming out. We have to set up in a specific way. But then we've also had a lot of fun getting to explore basically like what we can do in that downtime between weeks of like, hey, we don't have a big announcement, but what is something that we can engage the community with in a different way, which is super fun. And so I think we have a little bit of that this month, but I think December, we're going to have some fun things that we haven't announced yet that we can look forward to, where it's maybe not like, it's the craziest information you've ever heard and it's groundbreaking, but I think it's going to help people engage with the game in a different way. learn more about our team and just have a lot of fun with it.
We love a tease, so that sounds fun.
Yeah, I'll leave it there then.
That's awesome. So
what would you I guess this might be a weird question, but what kind of advice would you give to aspiring content creators for Star Wars Unlimited?
For Star Wars Unlimited specifically, I would say to definitely think about where you fit into the community as a whole. I think people can get geared up to this idea of like, oh, I just need to create any sort of content and be done with it, which is good. I mean, like if you're creating content and you're having fun and you're enjoying yourself, great. But I think the biggest advice that I've heard other people give to creators themselves, and I've heard this at like TwitchCon and different places, it's been really interesting to hear, is like, think about where you fit and what is the unique about you that people should be listening to you about this. Whether that's experience or the way that you build your content or how you present yourself. I think just knowing like, hey, this is what I want to do. And then, being the best you can be at that specific thing is great. Even if that thing is all around content, I'm going to do a little bit of everything. Just being the best at doing all that all around content is important to like know what you're doing on that side of things. And changing is always great too. So you don't feel stuck by any means is what I'd say.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Definitely like just feel it out. And I think being your authentic self is important. Obviously, it's like as a content creator, don't get up there and just put on a smile and be like, and this is the new card and this is it. And that's the whole thing. It's like we want people want personality when they're like watching and engaging with you. And so like be yourself, have a lot of fun with it. And I mean, just excitement for the game as a content creator, it just goes a long way with people that are watching too. I know like we have a lot of people at our office that watch you all and creators as a whole. We like it's super fun when people are excited about something.
Absolutely.
Excited too.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So you mentioned TwitchCon real quick.
I wanted to get
you mentioned listening to or hearing things at TwitchCon. Who made the decision and what kind of went into the decision of going to TwitchCon, which is generally a video game based dominated space? And what were your goals when going there for Star Wars Unlimited and the platform?
Yeah, I can start definitely with goals of we wanted to reach an audience that we don't usually reach, for sure. We obviously want this game to be as successful as possible. And so we don't want to just get stuck into the space of, well, this is what we've done before for games, or this is what we like, this is what has worked. Right. We don't want to just get stuck doing those same things over and over, because that's not how you build a new audience and bring people into your game. So I think that's part of it. We also know that Twitch is a big thing and it's here to stay, obviously. And streaming is a huge part of games. It allows you to like engage with the game when you yourself cannot play. And so it seemed like an obvious fit, in my opinion, of, oh, we should try to engage with this audience that is like obviously dedicated to that platform and doing their thing. And so try to make them aware of the game, let them know, hey, we want to support you all doing these things. We want, just as much as we support people that do articles or YouTube videos, we want to make sure that streaming is not something we just leave and like, okay, it's a thing. Great. Glad you're having fun. It's a part of this community as a whole too. So we want to make sure that we were being very direct with that community that we maybe haven't interacted with nearly as much as others.
So we on our channel have talked a lot about the relationship between content creators and a publisher. And we've talked about what that relationship either should be or is, or whether it matters if content creators, get spoilers or whatever from publishers and all this other stuff. What do you see that relationship as now, and what do you hope that relationship, I guess, is with the content creators that you guys work with?
I like how I view content creators in our community is, I think you are ambassadors as a whole for like this group of people that are coming together to play this game. When people first sit down and hear about a game, the first thing they do is read our website, probably is like, what is this game? What's going on here? And then they're like, cool, interesting. I see what's going on, but what's it actually going on? And they can turn to content creators in the community that are like, hey, this is what cards are coming out. This is what content looks like. This is what a game is. This is like this is us telling you how a game might be played. And I think the content creators, I view you all as partners in this idea of like, we are making this game and we can, talk to everyone about why we love it and everything like that. But it's also important to have you all as leaders in the community, helping us like understand what the community is feeling, as well as, letting the community understand what maybe we're feeling as well. Because I think all of the content creators around the community so far have been really wonderful about just like being open and honest about how they're feeling about things. And it helps us gauge things like that, as well as we want to make sure that you all feel like you have a stake in this game that's coming out. And so providing preview cards and things like that is an obvious choice for us to let you all get the community excited, as well as like create content around some new things that are coming out, rather than us just saying, here's 10 cards a week, here's 10 cards a week, here's 10 cards a week, and just dropping them on your doorstep. That's not nearly as fun. That's not exciting. It doesn't build any rapport between us, you all, and the community as a whole. And so any way we can support you all, I really is part of my job, obviously, and part of my passion is making sure that you all feel like we see you, hear you, and we like understand the effort that you're putting into supporting this game and the community as a whole. And we want to do what we can to help you with that.
Yeah, that's a good answer. At the very beginning, when you guys were handing out spoilers to content creators so early, I sort of felt like it was, I don't know if not worth it is the correct answer, but I wasn't sure about what the strategy was behind doing that, like almost a year before the game came out. And then, I don't know, as I've sort of been thinking about it and processing sort of how things have transpired since the game was announced, it sort of makes a little bit more sense to me just as a method of creating that relationship between you and like those other content creators. So it's not just, give a content creator a spoiler, they post some content about it, and maybe they get a couple more eyeballs on their content. I've learned and sort of discovered that it's a really good way for you guys to establish that relationship and keep that. It's almost like a conversation, right? It's like keep that conversation going between FFG and the content creators that are making content for their game. So yeah, I don't know if there's any point to that, but I thought it was interesting. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was definitely wrong.
Well, I can always admit when I'm wrong too, so I appreciate it. But no, I definitely think it was a very a pointed thing that we wanted to make sure that the community felt that there's buy-in, because I know that's something that people might not have felt before with other games, that we cared about those creators in the community that are doing all this work and again being ambassadors for us in their own way and helping connect new players to different resources and things like that. And I think it's just an easy way for us, easy in the fact that like it is something, it's obvious we're going to be doing this thing either way, and why not partner with you all to do something that's way more unique and fun, and you put your own little fun spins on it, and we create a feeling of togetherness, like we're all working towards the same thing, which is the launch of this game or the launch of each release, things like that. It's like we're all working towards this thing and we want to talk about it, so why not work together on all of it, which is
that's super smart. Seriously, not the way that it has always worked for sure, but I'm glad that is the way that it now works.
So for those content creators that haven't before, what should they do in order to kind of establish and reach out to you or FFG about? I know you guys announced the content creator list at TwitchCon and all that kind of stuff. So what do they need to do to try and get in on that?
Yeah, we'll be putting out more information in the new year about some of the different pieces of it and what people can expect. TwitchCon is very preliminary of like, hey, we just want to get feedback. We want to know what you all think, what we can do basically for you. And so that was it was a lot of fact finding of like, okay, this is what people actually want. Maybe this is maybe not exactly what we can deliver, but what can we do that is similar to what you want? So I think waiting for that, but like obviously in the meantime, before we have any like official way for you to sign up and do things like that, is definitely like keep creating the content you're creating. We're always watching and listening and hearing what the community has to say. So the more we like hear and see things that you're putting out and seeing that you're like creating family friendly content that is like good for this wide audience that we want this game to be, I think it just makes sense for us to like then reach out to you all, obviously, as it happens. But I would say, yeah, until we have those formal, pathways for signups and things like that, definitely just keep on keeping on. And then like in a nice way of like, you may not have gotten preview cards yet, but it's never out of the question on things like that, where it pops up here and there, openings come up, different things happen. And so, yeah, just don't feel down on yourself. It's not always like that. Sometimes it's just timing and how we think cards should be spoiled. So it's nothing personal.
For sure. There's only so much content to hand out. So yeah, it's tough to get to everybody who might be interested in something like that.
For sure. Yeah. Making sure that it gets out there and it gets to the right audience where we think people are going to see it and like connect with it is important. And if there's other ways for us to support you all, that have not gotten preview cards and things like that. But there's other ways we can do it. I'm always open and all ears. And I, again, listen to everyone's content as much as I can across the board. So if you are talking about it or saying anything about it, I probably like gotten messages about it, but like, hey, maybe we do something like this. So it's definitely not something where it's falling on deaf ears by any means. So just know that is where we're at of like, it's not well, FFG hasn't picked me yet, and so I guess I'm nothing. It's like, no, it's just timing wise how things have shaped up at this point.
Nice. That's good to hear.
So when it comes to the Star Wars Unlimited community, what do you hope the culture of the community is like? How do you think content creators and or FFG yourselves can create that basically and make sure that the community is the way that you envision it? And yeah, I guess first question is just what do you want that to look like? Because I think it's different for every game.
Absolutely. And we definitely have lots of ideas about how we want it to be functioning. But I would say if I'm going to condense it down to do, a quick answer where I'm not, monologuing or anything, I would say we really want this, like I said, to be open to a wide variety of players. We want this to be welcoming to those who have played in world championships for TCGs, all the way down to people who are like 11 years old picking cards for a card game for the very first time. Like, we want people to come into this game and feel like there's a space for them. And I think as a community side, the content creators have done, and the community members as a whole, maybe you don't create content, but we see you in Discords and Facebook groups and different things like that, being a resource for people, answering questions, making sure that people know where things are and what things are coming up and what they can expect out of things, how rules work, different things like that. I think keep creating that community that is always like there to lend the helping hand if you're willing to ask is really where I want the community to be. Is I know that there's been games where I played in the past where it's not like that, where it's like, oh, why would you ask that question? That does, it was answered 10 minutes ago. And it's like, all right, well, you're right. Yes, maybe I should have looked it up, but also being like, hey, here's this resource. Here's something that might help you. And I think everyone's done such an amazing job so far. I really cannot, applaud the community enough so far. And we're still 4 months from release or so. Like, it's absurd. So thank you everybody who's watching. Like, if you're a member of the community already, and I'm super excited to be sharing this all with you, and you're all like really rock stars on making sure everyone feels welcome, and content creators as well. I think you've all done a great job of like helping people break into this game and understand things and understand what to expect. I think that's been a huge part of it.
So it sounds like number one quality is like welcoming. Are there other qualities that you haven't mentioned yet?
Yeah, I would say welcoming. I think I would say having that like variety to it. I know we talk a lot
diverse
live streams. Yes, it's a diverse group of players. We wanted to have like, the game was built from the ground up with like the C3OP design, like connect, compete. We want all three of those players to be there. So we want that to be a space that like, hey, you are doing your thing and you are able to do that in this game. And there's a community built around connecting or collecting or competing. And so I think, like welcoming. And then also like, I want the community to feel that they're not just like welcome, but they have that space specifically to do the things that they want to do. And it's not just like, cool. Okay, cool. Yeah. I think, again, the game itself is designed to go like that too. I mean, the booster pack breakdown we've talked about too is like,
we're so excited about that.
Yeah, it's really fun. And so, there's like, we have designed everything intentionally from our side to support a wide play group. And so if the community keeps doing that, I think it'd be great. And I think the final thing I'd say for the community is like being well-informed. I've really enjoyed seeing everyone's willing to ask questions and say, or just be like, I don't know this answer, like in group chats or like in our comments. And they're like, I don't know the answer. This might be close. But also like everyone seems willing to ask us like, hey, can you tell us this thing? I know I had a question today where somebody was like, hey, when can we expect multiplayer rules? And it's like, great question. That's like, I'm happy to have you ask that. And I can answer. You'll see that in the new year, things like that. Nice. And so I think making sure, everybody's like willing to ask questions as well as like take that information and being well informed as a group. I think not just speculating all the time on things is what I'd say is like taking what you know and, you can extrapolate, but not going to the point of just like, I'm going to take a wild guess and tell you that's fact.
Speculation. As fact.
And sometimes that can be damaging for communities. So I really hope that everybody keeps this same like attitude of like, we'll know when we know. The best we can do is ask. And if we can't get an answer yet, we'll know that at least it's coming.
Do you have any thoughts on how you maintain that as the community grows? So I feel like it's much easier to manage a small community than a large community. Like once it reaches a certain critical mass, it's almost feels like it's out of your hands. So do you have any thoughts on that, on what you do there?
Yeah, I think we have to, on our side, it's going to be a lot of formalizing systems of like how we take in questions, how we go about, working with specific creators or specific members of the community to do things. It's going to be a lot of like building an infrastructure around supporting the things that we're doing already, but allowing that to grow. And it's not just like 2 or 3 people's jobs to do these things. It is a community-wide effort to work on these things that everybody has that buy-in. I think is the biggest way for us to keep it going as the game keeps growing and we keep getting more and more people, following, joining groups, just talking about the game. I think it's formalizing some of those things that maybe in the past have only been like, well, we'll do it like with these 2 people and we'll call that good and things like that. And it's not to say that like that doesn't work for some people. That's just not the direction we want to go in. We want to make sure that we are keeping this same level of interaction with the community as well as interaction between members of the community themselves.
Cool.
What about hype? So I feel like hype is like really high for the game right now, especially with a lot of the like last couple months of like announcements. That's been kind of like a lot of questions people have had, but we still have 4 months. Do you have a plan in place to try and keep hype up instead of having it dip a little bit, during the holidays and then spike back up? Or is it kind of trying to just maintain it until release? What's the goals there?
Yeah, that's a great question. That's something we actually months and months and months ago sat down with members of the strategy team and the marketing team. Like we sat down and we're like, okay, how do we make this little like hype train just keep rising as it goes? Like obviously it's fine if it bounces a little bit week to week or even like every couple of weeks it moves around a little bit. You can't expect to keep always being positive trending on it. Like, but as long as the general trend is we're going up to there, and that's release, and gosh darn it, we're going to get there, and we're going to get that part. I think that is where we've been working towards. And so we have some really fun things that we want to do. Obviously, some of that starts coming closer to launch where we like start doing bigger and better things as we go. But I think right now, up to this point of where we're talking about, this last week, cunning as an aspect, and then we're going to be doing some constructed talk at the end of the month. I think this has been like setting that groundwork for people that are new to TCGs, but specifically new to this one. What makes this one unique? All those different things is, all right, here is what you need to know before we take this next step of amping things up with new types of play, like draft, sealed, multiplayer, different things like that, as well as going into like what organized play looks like even more, different things like that we can really jump into once people have that knowledge to start. So that's why we did all the articles and things the way we did, is to get your feet under you, get your feet wet, and then you're like, all right, now I'm ready to take on what a TCG looks like, and then we jump into it, which is cool.
Nice.
How fun has it been for you to listen to content about people talking about the organized play announcements?
Oh man,
it's been the competitive one.
It's been awesome. I will say the reception that we got for organized play, I'm sure Josh is fine with me saying this, hopefully. But he like, I know just how excited he was because he's poured his heart and soul into this over the last years, 3 years for him working on this. And to see everybody like just as excited as he's been has just been like, I don't think I saw him stop smiling like for like days.
That's awesome.
Like,
that's great.
Stuff. It was really cool. And so I think the reception that we've gotten to a lot of our big announcements has been exactly what we wanted. Of just like, cool. We this is not hastily thrown together. Like there are plans for announcements, and then what we are announcing has all been planned out for years of like, this is how this should work. And so seeing that come to fruition and everyone be like, yeah, that makes sense. We talk about it in person, like do things like that, and people can get on board with it. And I think it's just been so fun seeing people's reactions to it. I've been like, I'm trying to think of some of the ones we know saw your guys' competitive one. You all seem pretty excited about it. And so it's just been fun. Yeah, it's been fun seeing people be like, yeah, this makes sense for a TCG. If this is what you'd want to see. And we're like, yes, exactly. That's how the game was designed. That's how the support for the game is designed. It is exactly what you'd want to see as you do the things. And I think that's like a big where we work from of like, okay, this is what the community is going to want. And this is what we can do. How do we make those things meet? And what can we do like to go above expectations if possible? It's never a thing where we're like, let's subvert expectations in a way that's just going to be surprising. It's never surprising just for the sake of that.
Yeah. I was going to say, it seems like you guys have been doing a really good job of that with Star Wars Unlimited specifically in, understanding the expectation of a draft format and organized play, not requirements, but what people want to see from organized play, and actually like being able to realize that. Do you think that is because the game spent so much time in development? Has it spent more time in development than other games at the studio? Like what do you think actually contributes to that? Because I think that's something that we see in Star Wars Unlimited that we haven't really seen from another Fantasy Flight game, I guess.
Yeah, I think from all sides, it comes from a lot of experience. I think we have like members of the team, the design team, the OP team, art, graphic design, leadership. Everybody has just this fountain of knowledge that they're working from about what will make this successful and what they want to see and what people will want to see from it. Because we've had many games that we've worked on as a studio, like years and years of experience. And so it's like, okay, how can we put all this great knowledge to use in a game and not just be like, okay, let's just put out a game that's it, and then we'll support it the way we support it and we'll be done with it. Everyone is thinking about new and innovative ways to take all that stuff that we've learned from every game into design, into graphic design, into art, into marketing, into organized play. Everything is like, okay, how can we do this to the best of our abilities based on all these things that we've learned? And I think that's really where like everything starts to shine, is because of just the amount of knowledge and the amount of love and care everybody's putting into the game, which I know is true of all of our games as well. As like we are very passionate people about this, and it's not just a group of people that came together to make something because they could. It's a group of people that are putting something together because they really are passionate about it.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm just imagining the leadership at your company must be pretty supportive to be able to pull off all of the different things that you're pulling off. So it's definitely awesome to see.
Yeah, it's really it's hard to not be excited around the office when you're talking about a lot of these games. Is just like everyone is so passionate about bringing these things to life and doing these really cool things and showing how passionate we are about it. And it's not just like, okay, we're a blank face and we're just
that definitely comes through for sure. Like every time somebody from the team talks about the game, we can tell that they're like legit excited about talking about the game and about the game existing.
I'm glad. Yeah. Cause it's definitely thing. And it's one of those things where it's my job to make sure people don't get too excited and say things they're not supposed to on camera.
And here's where you say something about that you're not supposed to on camera because you're so excited.
Yeah, exactly. You're like, oh, well, this thing's happening. Oh, and that's really cool because it does this, or how this affects it. And like, just wait about set 2. And you're like, stop, don't say that. Don't. Which is super fun. I'm glad that it's one of those things where our job is hard because we're stopping people from being
too excited versus not being excited enough. Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like you mentioned earlier with content creators and like their content being excited gets the viewers excited. For us, it's the same way. Seeing you guys so excited about it definitely builds hype with the game, people playing the game and watching about the game and all that kind of stuff. So it's the same thing. All right, this next question is probably the one that I'm the most interested about. You guys did mention, I think it was the last maybe 2 streams ago, that you guys, it was 2 streams ago with the OP event structure, that you guys would be doing coverage and broadcasting official events. Do you plan to have a static team involved with this broadcasting and hosting these things, like front people or spokespersons, or is this going to be like a volunteer basis? What's that looking like?
That's a great question that I would also love to know the answer to, because I'm not part of that side of things as much. I'll be brought in when it's appropriate for me to be brought in, obviously, but I don't know. I wish I could say more about what that's going to look like, because I also am like, how do I, get to be one of these, commentators or like talk over some of this gameplay? Because I was like, that'd be cool for me. I would love to do that.
I feel like it would fit for you since you're hosting the live streams anyway.
You're already a host, yeah.
That'll be my stipulation when we're looking for people to do it. I'll be like, hey, Xander's going to join you for like X number of hours a day. He wants to. That's I'll write that.
Let's write that in.
Typed up contract, and it'll be my like chicken scratch handwriting under it. Like, and Xander will be there. But yeah, I don't know. I wish I could say more about what commentating will look like, or live streaming as a whole and things like that, because I know everyone's super excited to hear more about it. And so that is something that now that I know how excited everyone is about it, it's something that I'm going to be very excited for us to plan out how we roll that out.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely.
I know. Tons of people love watching that kind of content when they can't attend those events. So having some community representation among those casters or whatever would definitely be cool.
For sure.
All right. Did you have anything else, Mike?
I don't know. Xander, do you have any questions for us? Do it.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes. So, I mean, we talked about my favorite leaders and stuff and cards and things like that. So who are you all looking forward to building first? Like March 8th rolls around, you pop your packs. Who are you putting together day one?
Mike, you go first.
Of the stuff that has been released so far, I think Han is the one that I'm most excited about, actually. It's the character or the leader that I've played the most as of now, and it's the one that I enjoy playing the most, and I think it fits my playstyle the best. It's just like very tempo-y, very immediate gratification. Doesn't matter what happens later in the game, as long as I play my 7-cost Mace Windu on turn 4, I'm happy. So I would, I think I'd go with Han. Also, similar to you, I think Cunning is my favorite color of the cards that we've seen so far. It's shaping up to be the one that resonates with me the most, followed closely by Red and Blue, and then Command, like all the way down at the bottom for me. But yeah.
Oh, man.
What about you, Jay?
This is tough. I definitely like playing Han because I get to play Mace Windu on turn like 4 or 5. But the value of Grand Moff Tarkin is just calling me. Like, I just love throwing those XP tokens down and getting immediate value off of them. So, maybe Tarkin or Sabine. I mean, I'm a face hunter. I always have been a face hunter in Hearthstone. So it's like Sabine, it's just that to the nth degree. So it'll be Sabine or Tarkin.
Nice.
Those are good ones. That's like a Tarkin Trooper deck. That's some good stuff there. I really enjoy that. Like super fun. Those are all good ones.
I've said on the show before that I want to get to the point where I can have Tarkin as my leader and literally every single other card in the deck some kind of Stormtrooper. So once we can make that happen, I'll play that for sure. I've always loved like the aesthetic design of Stormtroopers, just like their helmets and the black and the white and everything like that. I have a bunch of like Stormtrooper stuff around my office. It's just super fun. So if I can make that happen, I'll be happy.
Oh yeah, that's the dream, isn't it? Just a Stormtrooper deck.
It's so close already too. There's already a bunch of options, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, yeah, there are. That's super fun.
It's just Tarkin and 50 Stormtroopers. That's the whole deck.
I was about to say, yeah, they have to be individually different, right?
Yeah. Oh, that would be even better. Yeah, some kind of singleton deck where every card is a different Stormtrooper.
Yeah,
we're gonna make
just
that happen.
One Vader.
We're gonna make that happen.
One Vader. That Tarkin is like commanding.
Yeah,
you could do it where even the art for your events have to have Stormtroopers.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. Just super thematic. Amazing.
Well, on top of like the rest of the stuff we talked about, I also wanted to ask is like going back to, FFG, back to the office here. I'm already in mine. But when I go back to the office, what from the community, what messages would you want me to, pass along to everyone who maybe isn't watching, but maybe is from our team that I could like let everybody know what you all are thinking? Not to put you as like the spokespeople for the whole community, but you can speak for yourself.
No. We certainly are not. I'm sure most of the community agrees that we're trash, but I think, I don't know, you guys are doing an amazing job. I think when we first heard that this game existed, we didn't think that this would be the way that things would go. I'm sure you've heard that a lot as well. I don't think that's a surprise to anybody who's listening or to anybody at FFG, but I think that everything that we've seen you guys do has been exceeding our expectations, and we're just excited to see that continue. And hopefully that continues through the release of the game and beyond. And yeah, I'm more excited about this game than I ever have been, and I was always going to play any Star Wars card game that ever existed. So the fact that I get to be this excited and know that I'm going to be playing a ton of this game makes me pumped. What about you, Jay? What do you think?
Well, you took the easy answer, but I'll give the trash answer. Can I have a Mace Windu leader, please?
I'll write it down right now.
That's a great answer too.
We'll ship one out to you someday when it happens. We'll package it up and just drop in the.
We'll have to spoil that card if it ever exists in the future.
Oh God.
Well, I'll keep that back here. There's been a couple people that have been like, if this ever exists, this is what
I'm sure.
I'm like, yes.
We all have our favorite characters like that, right? So
that's what's so great about it being Star Wars, right? Is like you are looking forward to those specific characters and what they can do because they're going to do something that's very similar. Like Thrawn today, he feels like Thrawn, so you want to see your favorite character show up and do their thing. in this way.
For sure. Yeah.
Even if they're bad.
Jay's gonna play every Mace Windu that exists. I'll play every Ventress that exists. David will play every Jar Jar that exists. every who's the singer in Jabba's band? Every Max Rebo card that exists.
Yeah, I love Max Rebo.
David's favorite character in Star Wars is Max Rebo.
Really?
So, yeah.
I think I talked about him at TwitchCon. I was like, he's who I'm looking forward to personally, is Max Rebo and he's into the game. I asked Tyler, how soon can we get Max Rebo in here?
What's the name of the band in the Cantina? Do you remember?
Figurin Dan and the Modal Nodes.
Yeah,
Modal Nodes. Yes.
Great band name. Great band name. Yeah, we got each of them.
Gosh, that is so good.
Yeah.
The whole just band tribal.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else, Mike?
No. Anything else, Xander?
No, I think I'm great.
Awesome.
Thank you both for having me, and it was super fun to come and get to chat with you all. And looking forward to setting you up with the more interesting parts of our staff. The designers, the OP team. You can talk to them.
We love talking to you. Thank you so much for coming on and chatting with us. I think our audience will really enjoy listening to what you had to say about the game. So yeah, really appreciate it.
Looking forward to coming back next time.
Awesome. Thanks for listening, everybody, and watching. We'll catch you next time.
Bye.